If you're still manually chasing candidates, or you're still manually chasing potential clients or potential leads, you're still manually sending follow-ups one by one, updating and creating spreadsheets in Google Sheets or Excel one by one. This was exactly what my client was doing for 4 years. But then I built a system that helped him eliminated all of these repetitive tasks. Right now, my clients don't manually chase candidates. He don't manually send follow-up emails. The system does it for him. Hi everyone, my name is Ada Victoria Wali and I am an AI automation expert. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I built for my clients. I built a candidate onboarding system flow for my client that owns a UK healthcare staffing agency. What was the problem? The problem was that whenever candidates filled their Typeform, which was their form they use, they have to manually input the details of these candidates into the spreadsheets. Also, they have to manually check each of the compliance documents that these candidates fill. And these documents, I'm not talking about 1, 2, or 3 documents. I'm talking about like 10, 12 documents. So imagine checking all of these documents one by one for each of the candidates. So imagine if they have like 20 or 30 candidates. Imagine checking each of them. This was becoming so overwhelming for my client, and he reached out to me and I built a system that solved it. So I'm going to be walking you through what I built for my clients. In this automation I built, I use Airtable, Zapier, I use MailChimp, I use Gmail, I use Parim also. So let's get right into it now. The first tool I use is Typeform. This is where the candidate journey begins. So this Typeform collects everything the agency needs upfront, like it collects the candidate's personal details, their work to history, their right to work, their proof of ID, their DBS check status, their reference, and it collects so many informations that the agency needs. Okay. Now, every time a candidate submits this form, their data automatically flows into Airtable. No copy pasting and no manual entry because the automation has already been set in place. Now let's move over to Airtable. Now this is Airtable and this is where the magic happens. Over here in Airtable, I have two tables I built, the candidate details table and the employee onboarded table. Now, the candidate details table contains all the informations from the type form. So whenever a candidate fill all the fields in the type form, their details is being flown into here automatically. Now, these are the different fields that I created over here in Airtable. I have their name, I have their last name, I have their email, their address, and all important fields that are here. Now, this is very important because this tracks everything about this particular candidate. I want to also make a disclaimer here. All the data that are here are demo data because I'm trying to protect my client's information. Now, these are the different fields that are over here in Airtable. One of the important fields I created here for my client that have really helped him is the formula fields I created to calculate the expiry of different certificates. Now, most of the compliance that my clients need to check, one of them, for example, is basic life support certificates. And basic life support certificate expires after 1 year. Now, this formula checks when in Typeform, you have to fill a date when you obtain your basic life support certificates. Now, this formula checks if this candidate, the date that this candidate fill, is it more than a year? If it's more than a year, it's going to say expired certificate. But if it's not more than a year, it's going to say valid certificate. Now, this particular formula field has really helped my client because prior to this, he has to manually check the dates and check if it has expired or not for each of the candidates. But right now, formula in Airtable does this for him. So it checks if the particular number of years that this certificate has to stay has expired, or it has passed 1 year or 3 years, depending on the particular certificate. It's going to say expired or it's going to say valid certificates. Also, I created different status for him. One of the important status field I created for him is the status that he used to check if a candidate is employee onboarded or is still pending compliance. Now, all this, the Airtable is being controlled by the automation I created in Zapier. Now, this is the compliance status. Now, the formula checks if a candidate, if all the certificates that is required from the candidates, if all the certificates has not expired, this compliance status says employee onboarded. This means that the candidate can onboard to be a staff. But if some of the certificate has expired, it says pending compliance. And also there's a particular field I also created here, which is called expiring soon. This field checks for all the certificates that this candidate have supplied. If a particular certificate is getting to a month before their expiring dates, this particular field is going to let my client team know that this particular candidate's certificate will soon expire. This is very important because he then needs to know that, okay, for this particular candidate, the certificate will soon be expiring. So they can now send him automatic email that they should renew the certificate. Before I take you to the automation I created in Zapier, I wanted to show you some of the things I created for my clients. I created 2 views for my clients. I have the pending compliance candidate view here and the employee onboarded view here. Now, in the pending compliance candidate view, my clients can see the particular candidates that their status are pending compliance. As you can see here, all the candidates here are pending compliance. Their status are pending compliance, as you can see here. While in the employee onboarded view, all the candidates here, he can see at a glance that all the candidates here, their status are employee onboarded. Now, apart from also this, I told you I created another table that is called the employee onboarded. Also, he can check the employee onboarded from the view over here. He can also check the employees that are onboarded over here. Now, there are also some automations that I created here in Airtable that run some of the things I created for him. These are the different automation I created. Remember, I told you earlier on that I created an expiry soon field that checks if this candidate certificate is 30 days before the certificate expires. This particular script is what runs that field there. I also created interface for him. This interface visualizes his data. So over in this interface, he can see all the things that is going on without needing to go into the data. Now, over here, he can see the total number of candidates. He can see the total number of candidates that are pending compliance. He can see the total number of employees that are onboarded. He can see the compliance status, those that are pending and those that are onboarded. He can also see the right to work count, how many students have the student visa, how many have the Irish passport, and most of the things are in the data. He can see all of them here. Apart from that, also, I created another interface here. So there's what we call the visa share code checks and the DBS check. Prior to this, my client usually, when he wants to check the visa share code check for a particular candidate, he has to copy out the visa share code of the candidate, and then he has to go to his browser and go to the UK where they check it, the UK site where they check the visa share code. But because due to that, I had to create this interface for him. Now over here, it's very easy for him to check the visa share code of a particular candidate. So he just click on this here. If you click over the check right to work, it's going to take him directly to the UK government site where he check the visa share code and everything about this particular candidate. So let me show you how it works. Let me just click on it. So when you click on check here, you're going to click on continue. So as you can see here, it has taken him straight to the UK government's website where he can check a particular candidate's status and the rest. So that is one of the important interface I created for him. Also, the DBS check. He also has to check the DBS of each candidate. And like I told you, prior to this, before I created this here, normally check it in Chrome, manually check through by going to the Chrome and checking. It's so tedious for him. So, but with the interface I've created here, it's very easy for him to check. So you can just click on check DBS update service. So as you can see here, he can click on the check DBS of he can check the DBS of a particular candidate without needing to go to his Chrome and copy everything and all the rest. So that is one of the important things I created for him in Airtable. Now let's go back to Zapier. Now this is the onboarding flow I created for him. Now, as you can see, these are the various steps that are here. First, it starts with the new form submission. So whenever a candidate fill the form, automatically, first of all, it gets delayed for 3 minutes. Okay, because we're trying to not to sound too robotic. So it delays for 3 minutes. After it delays for 3 minutes, it sends a confirmation email and then it creates the candidate data in Airtable. But before it does that, it has to go and check if the candidate is not there already because we're trying to avoid duplicates. So it checks, is this candidate details already in Airtable? If the candidate details is already there, it updates it with the current information. But if the candidate data is not there, it creates it new. And when it does that, it goes straight to the next step, which is the MailChimp, and it adds them to a particular tag in MailChimp. And also, I created different parts. Now, I'm going to be explaining what this part is. This part is called the fully compliant candidates part, and this part is called the fallback. Now, when this candidate information from here gets to create in Airtable here, now, if in Airtable, the formula fields in Airtable. If the formula field in Airtable have checked all the certificates that these candidates have, and you found out that all their certificates are valid, they are going to move into these fully compliant candidates. And when they move here, it's going to update their status in Airtable. Remember, I told you I created a status field in Airtable that checks if a candidate is pending compliance or employee onboarded. Now, if all their certificates are valid, it's going to update the status in Airtable to employee onboarded, and it's going to immediately create their employee data in Parim. Parim is the software my clients use to schedule his staff and create shifts for them. So when he does that, he's going to update the status to employee onboarded, and he's going to it's going to send them a welcome email. That's an onboarding welcome email, and he's also going to add them to a particular tag in MailChimp. Now, if you found out here, you're seeing success and you're seeing error because I created an error handler for him. Now, this error handler is very important in automation because should in case anything goes wrong, an automated alert will be sent, something happened, and he can reach out to me and I can check it for him immediately. Now, this is just an error handler in case of future. That's why I created this. Now, what happens when the candidate certificates are not complete? So if the candidate certificates, most of them are valid and most of them are expired, it falls to the fallback part. In the fallback part, it finds the particular candidate that their certificate is either expired, and then it updates their record immediately to pending compliance, meaning this particular candidate, all their certificates are not valid. Some of them are expired and some of them are valid. Then it deletes for 3 minutes and it sends them a Gmail. Now, in this Gmail, this Gmail contains all their certificates and it shows them all the particular ones that are expired and all the ones that are valid. And then there's a link to my client's website where they can purchase this training so they can be onboarded. And then it's add them to a particular tag in MailChimp called training required. Means they need training for those certificates that have expired. There's also another split here. This just add them to another tag in the MailChimp. Now, what happens if a particular candidate have gone through the training of their certificate that have expired? No, they don't get to fill the onboarding type form all over again. There's another dedicated type form that they have to fill so that they can now put in all the details of that particular certificate that they've taken the training. And there's also another automation that controls that. So this automation, over here we have Typeform new entry because this is another type form for those that some of their certificate has expired. So when they submit that, Zapier is going to check in Airtable if their record is already there. And if it's there, it's going to update their record, and it's also going to go through almost similar automation like it is in the first one. If all of them are still valid, it's going to go to the fully compliant candidates, and if they are not, they are going to go to the fallback and they are going to get an email again because we're trying to be sure that every candidate have valid certificates. And that's it. A complete candidate onboarding and compliance management system built for my clients in Airtable, using Airtable, Zapier, Typeform, Gmail, MailChimp, and Parim. This saves agency hours of manual work every single week. No more chasing candidates for documents, no more missed compliance deadline, no more spreadsheet chaos, just a clean automated system. My client was very happy with this automation I built for him. So if you are a business owner and you're doing any of this manually right now, the chasing, the data entry, the follow-ups, I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. Send me a DM now if you need something like this or similar to this. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.